Okay, I got an idea how to fix this. Hang on. Hang on. Fear
Okay.
Dragon did this yesterday. Maybe this will
Oh
work for
no.
us. No, hang on. This won't be as bad, though, I promise.
Oh yeah, I guess since you're not streaming it.
Oh, I can't show my XSplit because I'm using it. Son of a bitch. Okay. There's no way to share
Just
screens on this. Okay,
solo
well,
pass without me. I hope it's 50 flipping minutes.
this is the revenge of Zombie Grub kicking in, guys. We'll see how this pans out. Spawning in the top right corner of the map. This is a best of 3, by the way. Sorry, best of 3, fresh best of 3. Starting game number 1 here in this Home Story Cup qualifiers for the European region. This is one of the most important best of 3s, though, because the winner of this goes on to qualify, guaranteed for an invite to Home Story Cup 9. Now, of course, tomorrow the invitees will come back for a chance to play for a fully paid trip, but this one will determine who one of those are. Spawning in the top right corner of the map. He's blue, he's Terran. No longer on Empire. A man alone against the world. It's Koss. And his opponent top left. He's red, he's Zerg, he's from Punchline. Give it up for Firecake. Now we can joke around and talk about Firecake and Swarm Hosts and all these things to death versus mech. Koss does and has played mech in the past, guys, but typically that's not his go-to. Quite frankly, when it comes to tournaments, we're seeing a lot of 2-Raxes come out of Koss combined with regular pressure into bio. And if that's going to be the case, Firekake's not going to be able to pull off his typical shenanigans. But that being said, if you guys missed it, we hosted a show match with Firecake earlier this year. In fact, it was the single highest viewing event we've ever broadcast on Bay Straight TV, with nearly 9,000 viewers for it. Anyways, that being said, he didn't go Swarm Host for more than one game. He had a lot of roach pressure, and he was able to handle himself really well. One of the things that really, I guess, caught my attention that I thought was so fantastic was Firecake was able to use constant abducts to beat out Terran tanks, to pick off medevacs, to grab Vikings. And it wasn't about dealing damage to tanks. It's just biding his time, using roaches and hydras in the most efficient manner possible, pairing with the Vipers. So really impressed me back then. He's certainly going to have an opportunity to do that here versus Koss, but it's going to be a little bit questionable to see just how he handles this. Because again, Koss is not a player who's going to play into his expectations. And unlike his former teammate Happy, Koss also doesn't play the same way every game. He changes it up on the regular. But it is cross spawns, and I don't know. This has influenced matches in the past for sure. I don't know if it'll come into influence this one, but Firecake most likely will take this third down here upon scouting with the Overlord. In fact, he already peeked in and saw. It's worth noting, guys, too, while we do have the bets open, they will close after this first game, so this first game is supposed to give you a good taste of who you think's going to win the series. We've had a lot of upsets in the past. We've had a lot of for sure things as well. But Firecake gonna send a couple leggings out here early on, and I hope the zombie grub curse isn't real, guys. Because you can still have like 80-minute games that don't involve a single swarm host or a single siege tank. But for now, Koss is trying to get the wall up. He did go for 2 Marines instead of a Reaper. I wouldn't call this uncharacteristic, because again, when you go for this sort of build, it's more of the I guess safer build. You always risk with the Reapers whether you actually get anything done, and if your opponent goes for earlier roaches, Reapers of course are going to be really useless on the defense for the hold. So for him to open like this for Koss, I think it's just that safe than sorry. Hope that his opponent doesn't get too aggressive, and he'll try and hold the front lines with this. Marine of course searching for the Overlord that is typically up here. Unfortunately doesn't see it, so just on the patrol path. Does need to get another oh, that was a cool move out of Firecake. I didn't get to quite catch it when he did it. For those who don't know what just happened, he build canceled a hatchery so he could put the creep tumors down immediately. It's not that big of a deal, but it starts leapfrogging your creep across the map real fast, so you can essentially be at the halfway mark rather than at 11 minutes, closer to like 8 or 9. But Koss has got that full wall up, so at home he's alright. He's perfectly dandy for this. The Hellions are coming out 2 at a time, and he's starting to get that starport out. With the tech lab and a second gas on the way, I don't think this will necessarily be for cloaked Banshees, but he'll probably invest in a Banshee or 2. Although granted, if you guys saw the series earlier today, Lily Canine versus Paranoid, big shout out goes to Lily Canine, who was able to use like elevated Hellions to just deal a ton of damage to Paranoid. Okay, it certainly does get fried. And I've missed First Blood, sorry. I think I've missed First Blood for the last couple games too, guys. I've been too distracted by that wench zombie grub. Don't tell her I said that. And if you're listening, I'm sorry. But no, I'm sorry, guys. I've been, like I said, I perhaps overcast yesterday. I'm like the weather On a decent day, it's a little bit overcast. Or hang on. Overcast? Overcast? Okay, anyways, I'm an observer. I'm literally overcast. Okay, whatever. Point aside, we got the Banshees on the way with Cloak. I was a little bit worried that it wasn't going to be Cloak because he had gotten that second gas so much later, but it's not like it's a bad investment. It's just this Banshee's not going to get a lot done, I feel. There's already a lot of queens out. There's tons of creep spread, and well, we actually don't have Paranoia Square colors coming down. Actually, just so used to seeing people throw those down out of a habit and situation, but he's going to run up here. There's no metabolic boost yet. This is, again, a little unfortunate, but not forced because there was no Reapers made. So Koss is going to find a lot of slow legs, but still manages to run his Hellions into them. Ooh, that's a bit awkward. Goes to slip past the Queen. Gets some drone kills on top of this. He's going to trade out, I imagine, evenly, but Firecake actually gets a really nice surround with the drones. However, 7 workers have died, 8 workers have died, plus a bunch of lings, so he gets value for those Hellions. Again, this alone is a pretty nice trade. This makes it even better with the 18 lings that died coinciding with it. Resources lost, of course, looks a little bit better for Koss, but he's not done yet. He's got the Banshee still going to town on top of this third base. He's going to drive these back, and Cloak finishes. He pops it in. Lair's only just been started. There's no detection for quite a bit of time, and the Spore Crawler is on the way, but it's not here yet. There's a lot of really weak drones here, too, from the Fire Blast that went off from those Hellions earlier, so a lot of these drones within one-shot range. Koss is going to be able to pick off quite a few of these before that Spore Crawler completes, and then back away to make sure he doesn't actually lose the Banshee. Wow, it doesn't even take a single hit on it. Up to 12 workers killed on the Banshee alone, 20 in total. Behind this, though, he's got a third command center. He's got his barracks underway. Like, this production out of Koss is fantastic, and he's actually in a good spot for the macro game. He's even going to risk coming back in here for another snipe on that drone. Gets the Banshee out alive. Oh, maybe not. Queen's going to try and get 2 more shots off. Okay. If he brings this back home and repairs it, great. He'll have a full health Banshee for round 2. Banshee DPS is something you can never underestimate in this game. But look at this. We actually have Koss expanding towards his opponent. This is something you only really see Terran players do if he plans to get aggressive around the north side of this map. But I think at the same time, in the same token, he's expecting Firecake to never take this base, because nobody does, again, in fear of this cliff. Zergling's going to keep this out. You know, it's when we talk about logic in StarCraft 2 all the time, Zombie Grub and I joke around too. One of the big things, though, is this command center. I just don't understand why buildings can't crush Zerglings at all. It doesn't make sense, but can't happen. Firecake, man, again, a lot of this creep spread gets attributed to the fact that he had gotten that sort of leapfrog move out with the canceled hatchery earlier on. So we see this creep pretty much out of control, if we're going to be honest. It's down to the north, it's down to the south, and of course coming across the middle of the map. And, you know, there's speed bonuses. There's, I guess, the vision, which is kind of the key thing, but more importantly than anything else, every bit of creep is just a better place on the map where Firecake can take an engagement rather than running off of creep into Koss. Now, Koss actually has some Thors coming out here pretty darn early. I usually see these delayed to a little bit longer in the game, but he is preparing up the Banshees for the time being. We got Drilling Claws on the way here too, so we're going to have those Widow Mines in play. Something you actually, again, we haven't seen a lot of. A lot of players have been really favoring going back to those Hellbats. Yeah, usually, well, even without Blue Flame, just they're a little more effective versus the Banlings. But Widow Mines have a very high risk, high reward factor, so it's never like they're terrible, especially if you can get lucky with them. But middle of the map, starting to clean up some of that creep. Really doesn't want it on his side of the field. Third base has been mining happily while this is going on. Again, I was a little bit worried that would be something that gets Baneling bust, hit by Mutalisks, attacked early, whatever the case may be. But Banelings in the middle of the map are not that numerous just yet. Up to 13, not a bad count by any means. But this drop is going to be thwarted before he even gets a chance to get started. Tries to move to Mineralize. He's going to actually try and kill as many Zerglings here as possible before picking up. But again, it's just not a good position. So even though the Widowmine gets a nice shot off there at the end, still unfortunately loses the majority of that medevac. Alright, in the meantime, these Banshees can try and take off one of the queens. Will get one of the queens, but of course Mutalisks are finally out in play. Thor's still being produced behind this. We do have 12 Marines at a time, and I've referenced this before in the past. Like, you want that rally, that perfect rally of like 13 Marines is kind of the goal if you can pull it off, but of course if you got a Thor, it's like one big, slow Marine that hits pretty damn hard. Oh my god, that's why Tychus upgrades into the Thor. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, Bailey's here in the middle of the map trying to connect. They don't have some typical hooks, but there's nothing to really protect the Marine. So They kind of get buffered on top of everything. I do like that he got the Thor out alive, though. Marines are just as expendable as Banelings are if you can trade them out efficiently enough. But Firecake actually takes a pretty good engagement there for the amount that he's lost so far this game. Now, the Thor's still standing, lead two big problems here as we continue the game. First off, cost has been dropping way more than any Terran player should. What actually happened with that trade at the end was really nice. He kept them there, and the Banelings actually wasted themselves on the Marines, but you know, the Mutalisks should have been shutting these down a long time ago, so a little bit delayed in that regard, but he finally has them out in a number enough to chase down medevacs, up to 12 so far, but 45 Marines, guys, 2 Thors, and more importantly than any of this, cost is on 84 SCVs? Question mark? This count is really high, but on 4 bases for the time being, it's appropriate. As he starts getting more command centers up and as his bases look a little bit better and stronger, he can start sacrificing a lot of these in favor of throwing them in the front lines, wasting Banelings on them, whatever the case may be. And, ooh, nice knife with that, what am I? And he'll start using mules to replace that. But for now, he's got to be a little bit careful. More Banelings going to get, actually those were 2 really good connects here in the middle of the map. Cost perhaps a little too clumped up, but getting completely surrounded and choked out by Firecake. His army doesn't have a chance to split because they can only split into more Banelings. Thors are the only thing still standing, and even those go down to the Zerglings. Gets a decent hit off of the Mutalisks still standing. There's nothing to really oppose them. Another Widowmine shot going to go off. He's going to have to fight within the bunker, but the Banelings will tear that down like nothing at all. However, choosing to disengage is Firecake and says, I don't want to overcommit. Planetary Fortress on the right side also means that he's not going to get a lot done as far as harassing this base goes. And now we start having the additional command centers come down. Now, he may lift this one up and try and make another base with this, but quite frankly, we're going to get to that point in the game soon where Koss is already making 13 Marines at a time, a Marauder, and hell, even more barracks are coming down. But he's going to want to be able to start throwing down tons of command centers, tons of orbitals. Just waste those minerals that he has an abundance of right now. In the middle of the map again, he's trying to tag out the creep, and it makes sense because you don't want all this creep spread to be here for free. But he's got to fight within the Planetary Fortress, try and use it to his advantage. But if he's not careful, the Banelings will go off on top of the Planetary Fortress. He's got enough of them here to kill it, that's for sure. He's trying to repair for his dear life, but the Planetary goes down, and the Marines still go down, and there's too many Banelings for Firecake. That being said, despite losing 2 command centers, he's still got an army behind this, and the Mutalisks are going to be chased back once again. Both players on 2-2, and Koss not finding any breathing room to get 3-3, although he does have the money for it. His focus is on the production and trying to get that Planetary Fortress back up and running ASAP. But still, in the middle of the map, has to clean up so many creep tumors. He's done a great job of keeping these back because, again, Firecake really accelerated the creep spread this game in the fact that he had just done the hatchery cancel again in the very, very early game. But picks off another queen. Zerglings rushing to the aid down here to the south. And again, this is one of the situations where the Widowmines have been getting some okay connects, but honest to God, this is a perfect example of like why people use Hellbats. It's more guaranteed low-end damage. But this attack is not going to work out, and even though he's stutter-stepping and stimming like a boss, he's not spread out enough, and the Banelings are going to connect to so many of these Marines. He's trying to limit the damage, but the medevacs just say, screw it, let's get out of here alive, because these are the units he can't afford to replace. These are the expensive 100 units that he needs to keep alive as the game progresses. Firecake, though, down his supply, and Koss with these extra barracks, he doesn't have any add-ons on them, but he'll probably put tech labs on later. These are the ones that become the Marauder producers when Ultralisks come into play. He's able to produce almost 16 Marines at a time. He's currently got 12 barracks, and of course 6 reactors for each of them. So the only thing holding him back is this mineral count at the moment. He's lost mining from the main as it's pretty much mined out. There's like 1 or 2 mineral patches kind of softly sitting there. This new base that's being built, long-distance mining, but still more effective than the way he was handling the main. And this will most likely than not become a Planetary Fortress once again. But that being said, Hive-Tech finishes up here for a moment here for Firecake, and this is going to open a lot of opportunities for him. Number one, of course, the consideration of Ultralisks. You want to get these behemoths in place so you can soak the Widowmine hits, you can run rampant over the Marines, and you force Marauders out of your opponent. On top of that, we're going to have 3-3, something a lot of Zerg players tend to get stuck without. But this double drop, it's actually really nice if it walks across the map. If you had kept them in the medevacs, it would have been a little bit risky, but we do have Firecake taking the entire bottom left corner of the map, so really looking to just expand like crazy. And Koss, 4 bases is a comfortable spot for Terran players to be, don't get me wrong, but he's not going to win the game off of 4 bases if Firecake is able to infinitely replenish his forces. That being said, both players getting close to max, we're going to see a start to push. Koss's army, though, is really just not that big. He's left a lot of Marines back, because I think he's expecting the Baneling like waves to come in. But one thing again, he needs to start getting tech labs on these barracks. If he's not producing anything, he's going to need to eventually start producing those Marauders to deal with the Ultralisk transition, which is coming as we see. The Ultralisk Cavern about finished, 3-3 is halfway, well I'd say more like a quarter way to complete, and Chitinous Plating starts immediately. I missed it entirely because I'm an absolutely terrible observer. Oh wait, no, there was no base up here. I take it back. I'm still an absolutely terrible observer, but deal with it. Medevac unfortunately does get sniped off. A combination of Widowmine turret and this bunker has been doing a great job of keeping those Mutalisks back, but Firecake never once even went for that top corner base. I thought he had sniped that off real quick, but there's no way the creep proceeds that fast, so again, like, he's just been staying down here towards the south. That double drop from earlier has walked across the map finally. He's going to find a lot of Zerglings, but also a couple Banelings. He's going to have to pick up about 8 of these Marines, sadly, and the rest are going to try and split, but even trading 1 Marine for 1 Baneling at this point isn't too shabby. Middle of the map, though, he's looking for a way to fight. More Banelings are morphing in for Firecake. He's always had enough Banelings for round 2. Mutalisks are actually going to be focus fire down by cost this time. He can still lift up to try and get out of there, but as we see, just too many Banelings. Middle of the map is going to finally reveal the Ultralisk in play. And for Kaz, he doesn't have that production, but again, there's 4 naked barracks. He could easily turn these into tech labs. Well, the Thors are going to take some of the hits on the front lines, and as we see, the Banelings roll right past these Ultralisks. As they start taking out the Marines, the Ultralisks are going to capitalize on all these units that are spread out and away from one another. More Banelings still coming in, and that split from Kaz is good this time, and he picks up to get out of here with only 2 Marines alive, sadly. But that being said, Firecake also threw away a lot in that engagement. He threw away so many Banelings, and if he keeps remaxing on Ultralisks and Mutalisks, it's a good combination that complements each other quite nicely, but he doesn't have any more Banelings available right now. In fact, actually none in play. There's 11 cocoons now coming into the middle of the map, but for Cost too, it's a little bit frustrating. He's seen that Firecake's got the bottom left corner of the map. He knows there's nothing he can do to stop that, so he has to win an army fight in a way that overwhelms and allows him to conquer the game. But both players with the insane production are already ready, again for round 2. The problem is, though, there's not a lot of medevacs left at the moment. Koss has lost a lot of these. He's been bleeding them out slowly. He's starting to reproduce them now, but 5 medevacs, I don't know. This isn't going to support a whole army. It's good for the healing, of course, don't get me wrong, but he's been one sending out drops every about 2 minutes of the game. He goes 1 for the north, he goes 1 for the south. If you can drop in the main, honestly, start picking up that production, making sure no more Ultralisks come out for round 2, that would be fantastic, but you know, both players have similar army supplies, army values. 112 versus 127. For Koss, of course, it's weird to evaluate just how much medevacs come into that weight class, I guess. But middle of the map, clean up creep once again. There's ultras kind of scattered around, and this drop in the main looks like it is going to go off. Ooh, actually, with a bit of a hitch. Zergling's getting on top of this. As worth noting, no adrenal glands, guys. Alright, well, Ultras revealed here in the middle. It's really scary. The Widowmines hit really hard, guys, but don't get me wrong, Ultras have 500 health. Like, Widowmines aren't going to do jack shit to a bunch of Ultralisks, especially when there's so few of them. But Baneling's trying to connect to the Marines. He backs away, he stims, he splits, but he's still got too many Banelings to contend with. Koss's army dips pretty heavily here, and he's got no production right now. Now starting to kick it up once again. But he's stimming for his life against these last few Ultras. The Planetary Fortress will come to the aid, but I don't know if it'll save him. These are just Marines. There's no Marauders. He can't kite this all day. Planetary Fortress being spammed and repaired, and it will eventually tear down the Ultras. Look at that one catch fire and burn to death. But corpses go flying and Marines are dying. Some Marauders actually starting to come out of production now, 6 at a time, but he lifts the other command center to get a little more surface area. Is he going to hold the Planetary Fortress? It looks like he may just do it, but here comes some Zerglings. They're going to have something to say. But the Planetary Fortress is actually guarded by a couple Widowmines that take out a majority of the Zerglings, and now there's only 1 Ultralisk remaining. This Planetary will live to see another day. While this is going on, though, there's no additional drops, there's no medevacs in production whatsoever, and Koss just doesn't have a lot to work with. For Firecake, though, let's keep in mind, he's pretty much exhausted his bank at this point. There's not a lot of gas for him, and while he's on this crazy economy compared to that of Koss, almost 1,000 gas income, he's still not able to max out. Well, actually, he does max out. I take that back. I was looking at the wrong supply. Koss is the one who's not having trouble maxing out, down to 118. Marines and Marauders alone won't cut it. He needs those medevacs. Now they're coming out, realizing a little too late, but Adrenal Glance is on the way. We got Flyer Carapace in case he wants to remake more Mutalisks, I guess. But the Banelings have been a problem that will continue to be a problem. That, oh, could have been a good hit on the Banelings if he had focus fire that down, but again, not the easiest thing to do. Goes for the repair on the Planetary Fortress. I don't know if he'll be able to pull this off. Not with the Banelings colliding into this. He moves the other command center to the south to try and expand while this is going on, but there's a freaking Overlord dropping creep to block it out. He cleans up the last few Ultralisks, but at the cost of one of his only mining bases. Up here in the top left is starting to mine up pretty hardcore. He's just going to tap out. GG is called, and Firecake will take game number 1. Hey, it wasn't Swarm Host, but it was pretty long. I think you